Hi, my name is Marquita Davis, and I am the co-creator of the Feel Better, Do Better Together group coaching program. I am also an author and poet based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And I am Deb Shine Valentine, co-creator of Feel Better, Do Better Together, and also primary author and editor of the book Feel Better, Do Better, a guide for people who want to change the world, but sometimes have trouble making it to lunch. I'm a life and leadership coach, and I also do some racial justice and equity consulting in collaboration with colleagues of color, again, including Marquita Davis, who is also one of the 8 co-authors of the Feel Better, Do Better book. And we are here on the Feel Better, Do Better show, which is a monthly show where we share vision and tools and tips for people who want to feel better while they do their big, important work to make the world a better place for other living beings.
All living beings, even the bugs.
Even the bugs.
Even the bugs.
Marquita has started taking spiders outside on this journey, just so you know.
Yes, and that is no small thing, however small it sounds. No small thing.
So that is not a requirement to join Feel Better, Do Better, or to join us monthly on the, the second Thursday of the month?
Right.
And maybe sometimes in between if we feel like it.
And sometimes. It does, though, speak to the power of transformation that is possible.
Yes.
Once we start to feel better and do better, because it is polar opposite of my prior thinking.
Absolutely.
So when I think about what we're creating, I see it as not a network in a business sense, but in the organic sense. A community where people, what we cultivate will allow people to feel more free to express who they are truly and to be comfortable with being perceived that way. And be amazed at the diverse pool of people in which they can be seen and heard.
I love that.
So it's one thing to be known by people who you know where you are, but to say, hey, I can see myself in that person that looks nothing like me, or that person with this vastly different life experience. And then we can find value in each other's stories. So to me, that's how we feel better and do better together, because it's this space where in learning and being more comfortable with our own truths, we can be less fearful about what we think other people might see. Because we'll know for ourselves what we're showing to the world and be comfortable in that.
I felt really excited when you said that part about like be amazed. You used the word be amazed. The vision of people being amazed that they can like be fully themselves in a diverse group. Like you said it better, but it was like, amongst
like be recognized,
how many like being able to be authentically yourself amongst people who don't look like you, don't have your experiences, like, and being amazed that that's possible. Like, not only can you be authentically yourself, but you can be authentically yourself with people you thought for sure you couldn't. Like, I love that. A couple things come to mind when in speaking to the vision of this, I was reminded this morning of a voice memo I sent you from California when I was driving through this abundance of yellow wildflowers and feeling, I was reminded this morning, like, oh, like I really felt like that was part of the energy of Feel Better, Do Better, that like yellow, literally as a color, was
Yes.
like the Feel Better, Do Better color. And then I have this one picture of this yellow flower that I took right before the tree bowed to me, AKA almost fell on me when I was on the labyrinth.
Yeah.
That also sort of feels like the energy of Feel Better, Do Better, which is, it's like, it's a brighter yellow than this, but it's that kind of like
Real
energy
vibrant.
of going out, like a, you know, like it's a radiance. It's really
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a sun radiance energy. So
yeah.
that feels like it's part of the vision. And it's like, it's all the little radiances of each person. And then it's the circle of us like radiating out.
Yeah. Like a sun,
Yeah.
but not a sun. I get
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also, and then the other image I had is from a card, and I'll show it to you in a minute. I had this image of it's from my mystical goddess deck, and it is a circle of women, and it's this beautiful piece of art with very diverse women in, you know, in a circle. And that's what I gave to Betty as sort of like an inspiration. Like, this is, you were away, so I couldn't run it by you. You were on vacation.
Yeah, no
But
worries.
as an inspiration for our logo.
Mhm.
So like when I think of the vision for the program, those are the like kind of feelings and images that come to mind, is this circle of, and it might not only be women, right? But like this diverse circle, centering women and
Mhm.
Black people, and this yellow energy and this radiating out, this sense of radiance and radiating out. Those things are part of what I speak to in speaking to the vision.
I like that. Yeah. Women, yeah. Because I feel like women, we we have the potential to affect so many different areas of society, like society at every level. Um, yeah. So the stronger and secure and healthier we are. Um, and I also like the idea of being able to do it in community with each other, because we often, I'm I notice that my girlfriends generally have to earn their friend status, and like my guy friends are just my friends.
Mm.
So and I don't know why. I mean, it's easier, like I'm less willing usually to talk it out with girlfriends, and it's no reason that should be, but I can only attribute it to maybe that inner, well, I can do it by myself kind of thing. But we really do get farther in our journeys when we learn to work together. So even if we have those kind of hidden biases within ourselves about who we wouldn't talk to or something like that, like, no, this is the space to work that out, because you paid your money. You ain't leaving. You know what I mean? And we're here to, this is where it happens. This is how we know that more than getting along is possible.
Mm.
And we can
Mm.
stop like casting all our hopes and prayers on the bare minimum of expectations for this world. Like, when we can see how much more, like, just even with those, how, even within myself, what I'll say is exponential growth from tiny incremental changes. It causes me more compassion for people, but also like, nah, son, you don't, it's like, I get it, it's hard, but you can do it, like, and this is that part. Like, I'm excited about encouraging people or seeing the light come on it. Maybe I can do it. Because I feel like maybe, the idea of maybe is all some people need, and then it's all, So I'm excited about even just holding this space filled with so much potential.
There was something you just said. I don't know if I can remember it, but it was something around like just getting along. I'm gonna have to go back to it, but like it's more than like just barely getting along. That's possible.
Yeah, like
we said something like that.
Yeah, we can operate from a space of genuine love and joy with each other. You know what I mean? And not just get along. We don't have to just fake it and be nice.
Yeah. And I love that you also, right after you said that, you went into courage, essentially. I don't know that you used that word, but like we can do it. Like,
yeah,
courage, tenacity, commitment kind of are in that we can do it phrase.
Yes. And even resilience. Because sometimes progress can look like a setback, because it's not just a straight line. And until I heard other people say that, like, oh, success isn't just this, I would often tap out or get down on myself when it went some alternate route, because I would feel like I made a mistake or I'm not doing good enough still. But no, maybe it's learning a different strength. Progress. We don't progress in every area equally at the same time. And it's helpful to be in the space with other people experiencing the same shifts. It dilutes the sense of crazy.
So it's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
If I were to ask you, Marquita, I'm transitioning a little bit here from our just riffing on speaking to the vision. If I were to ask you for your birthday reflections on what it means to feel better and do better together, what comes up?
It's gonna sound sad, but I don't mean it that way. I say it may sound sad, but I don't mean it that way. I think of how much I went through alone unnecessarily. And I say unnecessarily because the only reasons I either didn't pursue official help or even talk to friends and family about a lot of things was because of guilt and shame about the things I was experiencing within myself. And yeah, I'm grateful. It took somebody outside of myself to kind of call me out and name it specifically. I think you're depressed. And
we're laughing because that might have been me, not because being depressed is funny. Just noting that.
Excuse me. Oh yeah, that sounds mad weird that I'm laughing even harder now. But It turned out to be true. And I just, even at that point though, because the suggestion was therapy, and therapy just seemed like too big of a leap, because that would have had to, I equated it with too many different things. However, I persisted and got very curious about how brains work and how bodies work, and a lot of different things said, you know what, you're not broken, you just need some help, you need some learning, you need some tools, you can talk, and eventually I began to trust the relationships around me, to share more openly, and no surprise, I wasn't the only one feeling those things. I wasn't the only one who have ever gone through such things. And it was like, yeah, maybe I could have known that sooner. And we get to have a space where people can come in knowing that. Like, you come in knowing, hey, listen, we're all here learning the same things. And you got facilitators up here who still, universe sends us refresher courses all the time.
All the time.
All the time. So we are doing this with you.
Yes, refresher courses. I love that term.
Yes.
Yeah, what else? What else do we?
So that was my reflection from that.
That was your birthday reflections.
Yeah, and the mirror of that is, I have another sticky on my wall, and this is the one I started writing post-its and affirmations and stickies in, I know it's specifically December of 2020, because I got a video of myself trying to work things out. And I put on there, I have people in my life that genuinely love and support me. It's my own little head scratch and stuff, but that's what it is. There are people in my life who genuinely love and support me. And at one point it was an aspirational statement, and then a declarative statement, and now it's a statement of recognition, because I can see and to know that these relationships didn't all happen by happenstance. It took me learning to trust myself, earn some trust, and grow in some areas, heal in some areas, and that I could do it, and I didn't need whatever it is I thought I needed to get to this space. I didn't, because I don't have them. And I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, we give each other lift, our energy. We give each other lift, and I'm just grateful to be able to be in a space where we can offer that to folks, because happy people make happy people. You always hear people say hurt people, but happy people make happy people also.
Oh my gosh, yes, that makes me so happy. And I feel like that is like a lot of what we're saying with Feel Better, Do Better. We're saying this to people who think that they have to suffer perpetually, self-sacrifice all the time in order to be doing good in the world. And we don't buy into that anymore. We might fall into it upon occasion, again, because it's such a strong conditioning, especially for women, to stay in that place. And I think you can speak to this better than me, but I think maybe doubly so for Black women, because white women at least get this like fall apart card in a lot of spaces that isn't necessarily given to Black women.
Understood. The the form and definition of functionally depressed. What do you
Yeah.
mean? What do you mean? People bathe more than once a week. No, they don't. Nobody has time for that.
People. Yeah, there are days when getting in the shower is an accomplishment.
And I
I
had to
absolutely
consider it.
resonate with that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
it took me. I had to be able to view it as that because for the longest it was, why do you like? Why can't you do it? Listen, that's not getting us anywhere. That is not getting us anywhere, you know? So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, 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 yes. Can you, would you like to share why, with all your privilege and its potential to allow you to be anywhere doing anything, are you doing this?
Oh, that's a big question. You must be a good coach. Good coaches ask good questions, as do good journalists, though. Let's see. Why am I here? So one reason is that I couldn't help myself. Like as much as I was out in the world accomplishing, and mainly for me, I did the perfect good girl path to accomplishment, which is school, school, and more school. So I did that all the way through the PhD, and like sort of, and got the tenure track professor job that you're supposed to stay in, and found myself spending lots of time trying to figure out how to be happy. Like just finding all of this, even though like I genuinely enjoyed teaching when I was in the classroom, whether it was with preschoolers who I taught early on, or whether it was with college students. I didn't actually teach middle school or high school, so I don't claim to have enjoyed that. But the younger ones and the older ones really enjoyed it. And there was just this almost like a compulsion always since I was young to figure out, how do I work with how hard life seems, even though on the outside it should be easy for me. Like,
Yeah.
middle class, stay at home mom, good education, whatever. It just was always hard. It always felt heavy. It always felt hard to get out of bed. I always felt kind of constrained. And so I just was on this self-help journey, therapy, reading all the self-help books, like trying out new things, spirituality. I did church to the nines until I left church, like all of that alongside, like I would like push hard. I had like two modes, like push through, but I could mostly only do that if there was an external reason, like a due date for a paper, not for myself. So
Okay.
I would push hard for that and then fall apart, or like push hard and then like kind of go into like whiny mode, like whiny victim mode, whatever. Anyway, I wanted a different way to live. And so I just kept looking for it, kept looking for it, kept looking for it. And then when I was a professor, I realized that all of this stuff I had been learning for myself was starting to be helpful to other people. And that was even more fun than teaching. And it didn't require being on a lot of unpaid service committees, helping the university run the university. And honestly, unless you're at a really big institution, professors are generally underpaid. So after years of working in early childhood being really underpaid, I didn't really love the idea of working really hard and still being underpaid. So it was like this combination of things, and just and then finding that, yeah, like all this stuff that I've been doing to figure out how to feel better and still do good work in the world. Because that was the piece. Like, there were people who were like, care for yourself, nurture yourself, whatever, but who seemed to be just doing that in a little bubble of privilege. And I wasn't comfortable with that. But I also was consistently getting burnt out. Like, I moved in, even before my PhD, I moved into an inner city neighborhood to teach and live. And like, I couldn't do it. I got burnt out really fast. So there were just these constant things of burnout. How do I feel better so that I can keep wanting to be alive myself?
Yeah.
And then even better, so I could make the world better, which I really wanted to do. So this is it. This is like, like you said, there's all these like revisits of these learnings, but I live in a significantly different place. It is almost never hard for me to take a shower anymore.
Yeah.
I do so much of my work with joy. So much of my work energizes me instead of draining me. And then I started to see like, oh, this is how we create a new world. Like, we start in ourselves, we dissolve these systems of oppression that we've taken in that tell us that like we have to live according to obligation, and we shouldn't pay attention to our desires. And if it feels good, it's probably not good for you. Or if it comes easily, then you don't deserve it. Like, all these things that they don't make the world more full of love and joy. But like you were saying,
they
when
steal
you become more full of love and joy, the world becomes more full of love and joy.
Yes, exactly that. And I honestly, it what it does, that everybody trying, like, living from those spaces where we need to check all the boxes for everything else's sake except our own, it really robs the world of what it needs most. Because we don't have space now to give our gifts to the world. We don't have space to give anything, really. And I believe like our lives mirror each other, so when we feel very drained and empty internally, it can mirror in our external worlds in ways that it can call, if we're not satisfied with it, we tend to pour ourselves into work more. We have to make something else better, or we come up maybe similar to what you were saying, like we find another project, another relationship, any other thing except ourselves, because we're taught that that's where the validation comes from, everything outside of us.
Yeah, that reminded me of one other thing that I've noticed in the people who come to work with me as clients and who've been attracted to Feel Better, Do Better Together so far. And that is that they tend to be people whose one of their greatest fears is to be selfish. Like, that is like the worst thing you could be, is to be selfish. Like, and I hear that over and over again. Well, I would like this, but I don't want to be selfish, or I don't want to be arrogant is a second one. But selfish is like really high up there. And that is such great conditioning to keep women and other people from making any trouble, from getting energized by our pleasure. Like, as long as we're focused on avoiding being selfish instead of like being fully ourselves, we stay under-resourced financially, energetically, emotionally, in all kinds of ways.
That part, because it keeps us from recognizing when we have power to ask, like, we're just so grateful, or
and gratitude is great. Gratitude is great. And
yes,
we can also own and ask, own our power and ask for what we want, and be grateful. It doesn't have to be either or.
no, and well, and it's a space to grow into. Like all of it is to grow, is things to grow into, and this is probably back to the refresher courses, right? Because is when you're releasing the idea of being the victim or oppressed or confined from what it is, oh, I have power. And then it's, well, what do I do with it? Like how to exercise in it, how to be comfortable in it, to know you're not being selfish when you ask, to know you don't have to feel guilty because you asked.
Mhm.
All of those are, it's a great environment to be able to learn those things.
Yeah. Yeah, and when and in this conversation, we kind of are going back and forth and sort of we keep leaning into talking about Feel Better, Do Better Together, our actual program, which is one place to get the togetherness of this, right? And our book is another place. Feel Better, Do Better Together is another good place to start and have like the companionship of the people who contributed to that book, you being one of them and me being one of them. But it's also, we also, especially in this monthly Feel Better to Do Better Together show that we're just kind of playing with this morning. We're just this is sort of behind the scenes, like visioning, right?
Yeah, I like it though.
Yeah. That this is like a way of being that we want to see everywhere, not just in our little program, like a way of being where we are creating a world where more and more people feel better more and more of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, there's more and more doing better in the world.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times, like the backwards way is if you do better, you'll feel better. No, 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 no. You really kind of, as much as you're going to want to resist it, you kind of got to feel better first
Yeah.
before you can do better. You have to feel better. You have to.
Especially for people, the kind of people we're talking to who tend to be people who are leaning in the direction of taking care of other people, working hard for justice for other people, burning themselves out for other people, for other causes. Like if that's your leaning,
Yeah, if you feel
you're in the right
overwhelmed by
place
your
and you're
life.
going to need to lean to the feel better side, and it's going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There are a few folks who might need to lean in the do better side
I was
first,
getting ready to say,
but I don't think they're going to show up here.
I don't think so. But I will say, as a convert, it is nice on this side. It feels so good to feel better.
I think that's a nice place to end our musings for today. Do you have any final words, birthday girl?
No, just no. No. That's it. It just feels so good to feel better. It does.
All right. Amen.
Amen.